Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joe Theodore, and thank you for joining me today. Thank you for being here, clicking on the video, being lovely, being yourself, for subscribing in advance if you are new, for liking the video. That all helps the algorithm, of course. And let's dive right in and talk about Mars and Gemini coming this Sunday, July 21st. It is not Leo season just yet. The sun will still be at 29 degrees Cancer. We will have an exact full moon, pretty much exactly when this Mars ingress will happen. The chart that you will be seeing in a few seconds shows exactly what we're dealing with. The moon will be in Aquarius in the time that this chart is active. But we all know that the moon in Capricorn at 29 degrees, it'll be a boom, full moon, and then immediately within an hour ingress into Aquarius, the moon. So we're getting this second Capricorn full moon at the tail end of both Cancer and Capricorn at the anaretic degrees. This is very significant in my opinion, and I will be making another video on the full moon in Capricorn. But anaretic degrees are very auspicious. They're very potent. And typically for me, it is just like, it's almost like the planet knows it's going to be ingressing. And it's like the final fight. It is the final moment to make a claim, make a wish, make an intention. It is the culmination of everything that you have experienced in Capricorn in your life, So think about what part of your Capricorn story, like what is that, right? What house topic is that? Now think of things in that part of your life that seem like they've always been in recent days, kind of maybe something that's been neglected, maybe something that has needed a lot of attention and work on. Because like I said in the last full moon video, because this is round 2 of the Capricorn full moon, and please, I know I'm already getting in my head talking about the full moon and I want to talk about Mars. Just give me 1 second though. Because this is round 2 with the full moon, this means that we've had 2 chances to examine and to reveal something in the Capricorn part of our life that needs to be taken seriously, that needs to be examined, needs to be let go of, because maybe it's something that we've been working on too hard. Maybe it is something that has been causing us a lot of distress, and maybe we've been putting too much work and effort into something in that part of your life. And you now have to make a decision. This full moon is almost illuminating. The moon is illumined for the second time in this part of your life, and it's giving you a chance to see something for what it really is. And this is something that we must take seriously, right? And now, because this is happening in Cancer, it's happening in Cancer. It's just literally at the last tail end of Cancer. So it's almost like what in Cancer needs to be activated, what needs to be nurtured, what needs to be accepted, what needs to be forgiven even, right? So there's a lot of Cancerian energy that is affecting this second round of the full moon. But we also have this Mars ingress into Gemini at the exact same moment. So right after this full moon, the moon will ingress into Aquarius. It will conjunct Pluto, which is also somewhat significant, right? Because the moon and Pluto will be making an aspect to Gemini, right? So just like when we had that Pluto, I believe it's a trine. Yes, a trine. So we're going to have this trine immediately hit Mars as it ingresses. And we had this kind of same fate with Jupiter, right? And all of us were saying, this is going to be a wonderful moment, an enlightening moment, a shamanic moment where some spiritual insights are provided with Jupiter. When that happened a couple weeks ago, remember? But now we're having that with Mars too. And an Aquarius moon conjunct a Pluto in Aquarius that is retrograde, right? Which means it's heading back into that, Capricorn energy, which is not there yet, so it doesn't really have any relevance in this conversation, but collective ideals, innovation, awakening, revelation, sudden, moments of clarity or I'm not going to say confusion. I was going to, but I'm not. It's not confusion. Sudden moments of clarity and transformation, And in your personal life, you must analyze Gemini and Aquarius to kind of understand how this dynamic will play. Because Mars will be giving some energy to Pluto and, of course, the moon as it's there. So there'll be a fluid transition of pleasant energy for Mars, giving some, aggressive assertiveness to this Pluto moment and to this moon moment. So I do think something might be revealed or said out loud that could be transformative, that could be shocking even. Something that will move something in a direction that maybe we didn't expect. But not like a Uranus unexpected. Because, we've been seeing, what's been unexpectedly becoming, unveiled to us. And I promise I'm not going to talk about politics, but guess what, guys? Politics is greatly affected by literally all astrology moving forward until further notice. Anything being unfolded in American politics right now, transits galore are being activated. Everything is being activated. It is spot on, right? The Mars-Uranus conjunction, I've been noticing, have you noticed a lot of really well-known celebrities have died recently? So we're dealing with shocking death. The god of war, can rule death, in many ways. Just aggressive, shocking, upsetting even news. And of course, Trump picked his vice president. So again, another unveiling. But now Mars ingresses into Gemini. So we will see when it comes to the communication world on the world stage, the media, when we, the way we're communicating about politics, the way we're communicating about issues and, there's so much going on. Politics is just an amazing thing to focus on. And I promise I'm not talking about politics, but I'm just saying real quick, it's an amazing thing to focus on because we're in the heavy now of convention season. We're in the heavy now of campaigning. And it's just so auspicious that this point in time, Mars is in Gemini. It will be cruising through for, a while. And the whole sharp tongue rhetoric, communications online and in the public space will be very activated on a collective level. I'm sure around the world, we're going to hear a lot of wild things in the news and have nothing to do with politics as well. And this activation, this immediate activation from Pluto, something is going to be unveiled immediately Sunday into Monday. Something is going to be said. Something is going to be very transformative. Something is going to be, see, I don't want to use death for Pluto right now, but because Mars was activating death with Uranus, I feel we could see some kind of symbolic death, or maybe someone important might die, unfortunately. Again, because I think when we're dealing with Mars and Pluto, which, to be honest, both Mars and Pluto rule Scorpio. So we're dealing with a very Scorpion, trine energy coming from Gemini. So a very air, chaotic, unpredictable Mars, hitting a very collective, idealistic, placement for where Pluto is right now. So we could be dealing with something very sharp and sudden, of course, in a platonic way, in a scorpionic way. So that's something we have to consider for Sunday going into Monday for sure. This full moon, again, we're going to have this full moon activation, and that's going to symbolically mean something. Maybe that also will reveal something on the collective stage. But in our personal lives, guys, think about what was going on in Gemini, all those, that a month ago. Think about how fast things flew through Gemini, right? And we had that new moon there. And it was because Venus was there, and we had, so many, all the personal planets aside from Mars were pretty much all happening in Gemini. So guess what? Mars coming out of Taurus, which was an earth sign, of course. Mars in earth signs, in my opinion, are more aggressive than in air signs. I think when we're dealing with Mars in an air sign, we could be dealing with, again, communication, just the way things are, transmitted. We're dealing with air. Again, air can move in a way where it could be destructive, or air can move in a way where it's like, ooh, there's a fresh breeze over a very hot planet. So Mars actually might get cooled down, believe it or not. If you like, because we like to think, oh, Mars in a water sign can be tampered down, a little bit cooler, a little bit chiller, more creative Mars, getting more intention and aggressiveness out in a very creative way. Taking action on creativity with a water sign Mars. But in air, think about it. How nice is a cool breeze, right? So we can't totally rule out Mars's, beauty in a sign like Gemini. So, I feel there's going to be a lot more, energy available for direct lines of communication, but also very sharp rhetoric and very sharp moments where we may say a couple of curse words we don't want to say. People might say the wrong thing at the wrong time. We have to be careful how we speak, and, but Mars in Gemini, and we have Jupiter there. How can I forget, guys? So we're already dealing with Jupiter hanging out in Gemini, providing expansion, wisdom, maybe new ideas that maybe we never thought of before. And again, whatever house topic Gemini's in greatly dictates how this will manifest for you. Right? So are we dealing with your 4th house of home? Are we dealing with your 7th house of relationships? Are we dealing with your 10th house of career? So all of this needs to be considered, with the wisdom and the philosopher, mindsets that might arise, great ideas. Jupiter can bring great ideas, healing even, because it's the guru and the spiritual one, the great master teacher of high knowledge and intuition. And we have Mars there just going to be providing, direct insight, maybe. So maybe sudden flashes of intuitive insight, psychic insight potentially with Gemini that can help you say the right thing at the right time. Not just say the wrong thing at the wrong time, but also have this amazing insight into the truth of things, maybe more so than if Jupiter wasn't there, if that makes any sense. But again, remember what happened with the new moon in Gemini? I feel a lot of us were making new connections, even if these were connections with ideas and, learning, outlets. I know a lot of people who were getting involved in new forms of thought, meaning, practicing a new form of spirituality or looking into Zen Buddhism after they've been studying like Theravada Buddhism. So people, I know a lot of people were kind of changing interests and willing and excited to explore a new thing. So, and Jupiter has a massive influence over that kind of stuff, ideas and, expanding one's mind and horizons. So Mars has many flavors, as we all know. In the last week, we've been seeing Mars in a very aggressive way play out. Of course, the Trump thing, very, very activated by Mars Uranus. I'm not talking about Trump at all, but I know he's got some prominent Gemini placements. So I think his sun is there, and I believe his North Node. So for him, again, Mars is just going to activate that. So, use your imagination to see how that might play out. You know what I mean? But Mars is going to provide fire to anything that's going on in the Gemini part of your life. And the last time we had Mars in Gemini, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I believe it was late summer of 2022, all the way until early winter, January, February, I believe, is when it left Gemini and headed into Cancer, because we had a massive Mars retrograde there the last time Mars was in Gemini. So during that time period, guys, we saw a lot of stuff go down, that particular retrograde. And I have a retrograde class on Mars, by the way, in my teaching portal, links down below. I'm still working my way through retrograde classes. where I really dive into the significance of what a retrograde actually is, and the significations of Mars and a Mars retrograde, what happens if you're born with a retrograde. And in the coming year, we have massive Mercury retrogrades happening at very important times. Yes, involving the elections, some of that stuff. But next year, we have a Mars and Venus retrograde happening at the same time, right? A Mars retrograde happening around the election into next year, and then we have a Venus retrograde coming shortly after that. But the Mars retrograde is going to be a massive cycle, months and months and months and months, dealing with a Mars retrograde, going direct, going retrograde, going direct again. But the last time we had Mars in Gemini was 2022 into 2023. And I can tell you from experience, that transit was very difficult for a lot of people. I feel a lot of people were held back from a lot of the actions they want to take. A lot of people, their speech was, being affected. A lot of people were getting, again, I feel like there was a massive, something that happened during that transit where, there was like kind of a cancel culture moment happening. I mean, I know that's kind of always in the zeitgeist, but that particular time there was like a real dampering on people's like speech in something. Maybe it was the vaccines. I don't know. But it was something else. And there was also a lot of frustration because, again, Mars retrogrades, internalize the Mars energy, which can cause a lot of suppressed anger and rage and this, that, and the other thing. So the last time Mars was in Gemini, we were dealing with that kind of stuff. But this, thank God, Mars will be moving direct, straight up through Gemini. It'll be moving fast. And it will be providing, both the good, the bad, and the ugly from the god of war, from the god of action, from the planet of fire, passion, and assertiveness. Will we see violent acts? Potentially. Will we see violent rhetoric and speech? Potentially. Will we see things on the global stage unify? Probably not. Will we have more confidence in the way we interact with others and the way we interact in that part of our life, wherever Gemini is for you? Will we have a little more pep in our step? Will we be more inspired to have the energy to communicate or read something new or explore some new ideas or maybe even take trips, because again, Jupiter is there, expanding the opportunity for foreign interest, potentially. And Gemini, being an air sign, even though it's all about communication, connection, this, that, and the other thing, we can symbolically look at the air element as travel. So there could be some stuff going on involving travel because Jupiter is hanging out in an air sign. So there could be a lot of emphasis on things involving air flight and travel. Or maybe the idea of, oh my God, I wish, I could go away and escape some of this stuff. But Mars and Gemini should be interesting, everyone. If you're interested in sharing where Gemini is in your chart and maybe, sharing with me what you think this might, entail for you. But I think in the short term, we can really just simply highlight on the full moon happening, Mars ingress immediately, and having this very, very powerful trine from Pluto, which I think will be initially positive, even though I feel there's going to be another shift in a very shamanic way. There could be a moment of healing. There could be a moment of darkness, I hate to say. But again, it depends on the individual. It depends on you, what may manifest. But, I feel Pluto is just unpredictable, when it comes to what and how something might change or transform. Sometimes things don't necessarily happen at all. So, I'm just speculating, to be honest, for the worst case scenarios and the best case scenarios of something that might happen suddenly. And I'm only saying suddenly because Mars is involved. Like when Jupiter trined Pluto in that initial ingress, Pluto's a slow moving planet. It takes a while to kind of understand what Pluto's really going to do in a sign and what Jupiter's really going to do in a sign. But Mars and these personal planets move so quick that usually we see like a quick burst, something happening in our life, something happening on the world stage. And this will be a moment, that I think we're going to see obviously more on the world stage because we are dealing with Aquarius and Pluto. But in our personal life, I do think there'll be a radical moments because Aquarius is kind of that sign of radical things, like things that are just done a little bit more unique. And Mars activating that kind of energy as well, is just a little bit unpredictable, especially when dealing with Gemini. So it's very hard for me to predict anything, of course, regarding your personal life. But again, it's just really, really important to note the importance of knowing where this stuff falls in your life. And if you need help with anything, please reach out to me. I am lowering my rates, by the way. Within the next couple of days, I will be drastically lowering some of my reading rates. I'm going to keep, I'm going to have two options for my primary reading. One's going to be, a more lengthier reading, which will be a little bit more. I'm still lowering the price of that from where it is now, but it'll be a little bit more from the other option I'll have. And the other option will be probably 20 minutes less and a very affordable, reasonable rate. And I hope that might encourage you guys to reach out to me if that's what's been holding you back. So for whatever amount of time I decide to keep those rates lowered a little bit, I really want to be able to connect with you if you're interested in that. Because I know a lot of people, just don't want to spend the amount of money typically that astrologers charge. Because what I do charge now is typically what most of my colleagues charge. But I do understand, the times we live in a little bit as well. But I hope everyone else understands that I also have to make a living too, guys. So, but for the time being, I really want to connect with a lot of you. I know a lot of you have been reaching out, and I'm now knowing some of you in the comment section as well, which is beautiful. Please keep commenting and sharing your thoughts. So, I hope this might encourage you, to reach out, But yeah, guys, I mean, there's so much more I could say. I don't want to ramble on, though. I'm already at 22 minutes. But Mars and Gemini, let's just get ready, guys. We'll talk about this more, of course. Mars will be in Gemini for some time. But I think initially, as we head into Leo season, having this trine to Pluto, very significant, something transformative will take place. Even if it's transpersonal, this could be just something happening inside for most of us. Just like this, oh my God, this Martian burst of energy in that part of your life, in Gemini getting activated, but at the same time, something in your Aquarius part of your life getting activated. And in the Aquarius part, that might be the more transpersonal, like, oh my God, like that's what I need to do now. And it's almost like that moment in the movie where you finally know what needs to happen before the climax of the film happens, right? So it could be like a little hero's journey moment, right? In my opinion for that. But something will get triggered, something will happen. And honestly, I think for most of us, it's going to be a good thing. I think this energy will be insightful. I'm optimistic about Mars in Gemini because Mars in Taurus actually was more rough than I thought it would be. And again, Mars in earth signs, especially Taurus, can be a little bit more like a tornado on the ground, just ripping up the earth, where Mars in an air sign is more, fluid. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to be said. We don't know this, that, and the other thing. But what we do know is that some days we get a nice cool breeze, and Mars will get cooled off on some days. And I think after Taurus and the Uranus conjunction, I think Mars will be a little bit calmer, But don't hold me to it. Don't hold me to that. I have some heavy Gemini placements, so I'm trying to convince myself that, that's the case. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. As always, check out my description box below, all of my links and my teaching portal if you would like to support the channel further. I have beautiful pre-recorded classes that are 90 minutes long. Sometimes some of them are a little longer. I have a mini course that's 6 hours long that, is a beautiful, beautiful piece of education that I put together for everyone. And yeah, guys, that's all for today. I will see you in the next video.